Hey, what's going on everybody? Justin here, and in this video I just want to share a quick TBR of what I plan on reading over the course of May. If you've been following my channel for the past month or so, you'll probably know that a Springathon is coming right around the corner. I think that's May 3rd through the 19th, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. I've already done kind of a TBR for that nature-based readathon, which is really awesome, and you should definitely check it out. I'll put a link up there for my TBR for that. So the 4 books that are going to be in this video that are part of that, I'll go in more depth in that video, or I went in more depth in that video, so I'll just cover them really briefly here. But I do have 3 bigger, kind of heavier hitter books, I guess at the end I'll talk about afterwards as well. I guess heavy hitters for like kind of my channel, if that makes sense. But let's just go ahead and get started. So Springathon has 4 prompts, and this year they went with the 4 seasons. So winter, spring, summer, and autumn. And for winter I went with Lost Antarctica by James McClintock. I read one of his other books, which was kind of like a ecological fishing memoir, travel log kind of thing. This one is all about his sort of research and experience on what it's like living in Antarctica, doing, you know, field experiments and whatnot at McMurdo Station. So it just sounds really cool, because there's got to be a lot of like logistical nightmares kind of going on behind the scenes, just getting things there and kind of planning out when to do stuff and all that kind of thing. So it just sounds like it'd be really interesting, and you know, just really important research that needs to be done on the melting ice caps and whatnot. For spring, I went with a book by Jane Goodall, Seeds of Hope, Wisdom and Wonder from the World of Plants. I mostly picked this one up because I want to read some by Jane Goodall, and I think I have 3 of her books. And I've only written or read one that was kind of like co-authored by her, which was a little different. But you know, I've learned tons about her just from, excuse me, all the other, you know, nature books I've been reading. She's always like talking about whenever we're talking about like, you know, primates and things like that. So I just figured I want to read something like in her own words, and it just sounded really cool. Next up for summer, I went with kind of a more, it's not scholarly per se, but more of like a, I don't know, like a monograph type book. It's called Silent Sparks, The Wondrous World of Fireflies by Sarah Lewis. And this is all about, as you could probably guess, fireflies. There's not actually that many diagrams and photos in this one. There are a few highlighting some important stuff, but there is a lot of species profiles as well. I just want to learn more about fireflies, and I had it, and that made, like, I don't know. For insects, I think fireflies are pretty up there. Like when I do campfires and stuff, there's always, you know, fireflies around and everything. I think that's just a really good kind of summer vibe going on. And then lastly for fall, I went a little bit different from like pure nature stuff. I went with Atul Gawande's Being Mortal, Medicine and What Matters in the End. Just heard tons and tons and tons of great things about it. This is one I probably will want to take notes on. But it's all about, you know, when you're in senescence or terminally ill, you know, you're at the end of life. It's all about, instead of prolonging life basically at any cost, it's more about let's try to do quality over quantity, and kind of the, you know, kind of just philosophical ramifications of that. So just like I said, I haven't heard any bad things about it. It's been out for, I think, like 15 years or so. It's pretty old, and I've had it for a long time as well, and I just haven't like gotten around to picking it up, and I'm not 100% sure why, but I figure this, it just kind of 2014, so 10 years. So, like I said, just kind of, you know, passing away and that kind of stuff just reminds me of like the leaves falling and kind of moving on to like, you know, new growth, like over, well, I guess not new growth until spring, but, you know, kind of the dormancy of death of like winter and whatnot. So I just felt like it felt like an autumnal book. Plus it's even got like, you know, little tan vibe going on. Probably there might be subconscious stuff going on. I'm not 100% sure. All right. So now I got 3 other books. I doubt I'm going to try to read all 3. Not sure how that's going to go. At least one of the next 2, because they're actually both quite long. So I've been sent 2 different books. This first one is Revolutionary Spring, Europe Aflame in the Fight for a New World, 1848 through 49 by Christopher Clark. He's a really great historian. I have all his other books on my TBRs for like other things. Like he's got books on Prussia. He's got books on The Sleepwalkers, which is about World War I, which I used to read tons on World War I, but I've never actually read any of his books. But after I read Pursuit of Power for March of the Mammoths, which was like a 900-page book on like the long 19th century, I realized there's a lot, it could fill a ton of gaps in my knowledge, but also made me realize I have a ton more gaps in my knowledge, so I just want to go in more depth. this is all about, you know, the years 1848 to 1849. Lots of different kind of revolutionary stirrings were going on all over the European continent. You know, Italy, you know, the French Empire was pretty much falling with Napoleon III. You got stuff in Scandinavia, Hungary, all kinds of Portugal. A lot of things were just going on, and it's just a huge deep dive into all that kind of discontent and, you know, fomenting kind of rebellious thoughts and whatnot. So I just feel like I'll learn a ton. I think it's like, oh geez, how long is this book? It's pretty long. Let's see, 870, so I think it's in like the 700s if you don't count the index and footnotes. Yeah, it's like 700. Holy cow, we got 757. So not quite a mammoth according to book 2, which is 800 pages, but I feel like this is definitely going to be a heavy hitter. I read a lot of history, but not so much on like modern-ish one. I've been trying to push my boundaries this year, reading stuff beyond the medieval period. And I feel like this will definitely give me a lot more insight to kind of, you know, like you said, the 19th century, where that Pursuit of Power definitely, like I said, covered everything, but it was like 800 pages on 100 years, where this is going to be like 700 pages on 2 or 3 years. So yeah, hopefully we will see how that goes. Now, another one that I've been sent, and like I said, it'll probably be a toss-up. It'll probably depend on which one I read first and how long it takes. But we got Erik Larson's new book, which is coming out in a couple of days. We got The Demon of Unrest. He also wrote, let's see, In the Garden of Good and Evil, The Splendid and the Vile, and Devil in the White City, as well as Dead Wake, about the sinking of the Lusitania. He's just a really famous like historian on kind of like modern topics. I read, the only one I've read is Dead Wake, because that's kind of like the World War I kind of era book. But this one is all about the opening of the American Civil War, and this is the shelling of Fort Sumter. So I think this one is about 500 pages-ish. Oh, more than 500-ish. Well, I guess about 500 of text and another 60 or 70 of like notes and index and things like that. I want to say since starting book 2 several years ago, I think I've read a total of 1 other book on like the American Civil War, that kind of like era. So pretty much all I've learned is that book and like stuff I learned in school. So I figured this will be kind of a big kind of eye-opener for a lot of that sort of stuff. This book is covering the time period between Lincoln's election, and then I think it was either 4 or 5 months later, the opening of the Civil War begins with the Confederacy bombing of Fort Sumter. All I know is really about this, besides like kind of, you know, just like, you know, super tense and whatever, this kind of vague nebulous ideas. The guy, I can't remember what his name was, shoot, I think it was Colonel or Major Anderson, Robert Anderson. He was the commander of Fort Sumter, which is off, you know, the Carolina coast. I think he was a former slave owner. So he kind of had like, and he had sympathetic, like, you know, leanings towards the South and stuff. But he was also like super staunchly just like pro-unionist, and was like, you can't just like leave. That just doesn't count, basically. So he's kind of like conflicted in a way, and that's the only like character I know like during this time that's like a major figure, I think. So it's gonna be fun kind of like learning about more insights on kind of, I guess, you know, people like that are kind of got their foot in both camps a little bit, maybe. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about the American Civil War. I don't, even though I live in the United States, I just don't read a lot of American history and stuff. So I'm figuring, like I said, this is the year for me to branch out, learn some more stuff, and get smarter on other areas of history that's not, you know, Greco-Roman or the ancient Near East or medieval times. So there's A Demon of Unrest. And then lastly, I have these, for whatever reason, this whole year since starting book 2 up, even before that, like since like January, I've been having these weird pretentious thoughts of getting back into philosophy and like relearning everything I used to know and like gaining more knowledge and stuff. I used to love philosophy in college. I was only able to minor because my college didn't offer a major in it after I like transferred and stuff. But anyways, I love the Greek philosophers, but I figured, you know, I like the pre-Socratics. I like the, you know, just vague abstract stuff like Heraclitus and Democritus and Empedocles, things like that. And I love Aristotle. Aristotle was like probably my favorite. So what better place to start than freaking Plato? Because I figure I didn't like Plato in college. I didn't like pretty much any of his stuff. Granted, his dialogues are like just better written than most everyone else's stuff back then. Like just as far as just like literary pieces, they're actually pretty good and they stand the test of time. But I kind of want to start with Plato because if I know that he's like my least favorite of like kind of that era, I just want to see if that's somehow like starting over. He's kind of, you know, he's right at the beginning too, so it's, I don't know, some dumb concept of just reading what I think I might not like. It probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm gonna try to like take notes and that kind of stuff. Like I said, being very pretentious with it. I'm not gonna read the whole works of Plato here. Obviously, that's just gonna like fry my brain and I won't absorb anything. I think I'm gonna start with the Symposium, which is one of the kind of his like major works that I actually didn't study or really read in college. So that one is all about, was it Agathon, I think it was, who won a playwriting tragedy contest or something. So he holds a symposium, which is essentially just like a drinking party where everyone kind of gets together and starts drinking wine and then does speeches and stuff. And I think the topic was Eros or love or something like that. But obviously you got, you know, Plato's version of Socrates, Alcibiades, Agathon, and there's a couple other, Aristophanes, like the comic playwright, is like in there. And I think he's kind of in there for comic relief from like what I understood, like just like in passing and everything. But anyways, I'm going to start with the Symposium. If you got like a dialogue of Plato that you really enjoy, or a work of Plato, let me know down in the comments below what I should read after that one. Like I said, I'm going to try to go slowly with them, try to take notes and like try to understand stuff. And I still might not like Plato in the end, but hopefully at least like understand his stuff better instead of just doing a dumb caricature of him in my head all the time. So anyways, those are the books that I will be reading over the course of May. Leave a comment down below which one you're most excited about that you plan on reading, as well as if you're planning to join Springathon or not. I don't know, that's one of my favorite readathons. I shouldn't say my absolute favorite. Theoretically, if I do one, like I used to do the history challenge and the foreshadowing there. I used to do that, and that probably should be my favorite one, right? You know. But anyways, for ones I don't do, Springathon is definitely my favorite. Go read some nature stuff, and I will catch you in the next video. So whatever you're reading, whether it's on, I don't know, what I got, history, philosophy, nature, anything like that, whatever you end up reading, read victoriously.